Welcome to NTN Nightly. I'm Hamadi Mark. This edition's top stories. Government ensures water security in the agriculture sector. SMEs to have greater access to financing. And 27 Wi-Fi hotspot locations earmarked in Phase 2 of the GINET Programme. The government of St. Lucia continues climate resilience efforts through a donation of water tanks to assist farmers during this COVID-19 era. Pillar 6 of the St. Lucia Economic Recovery and Resilience Plan focuses on disaster risk mitigation and climate change. Policy intervention number 32 under this pillar calls for the provision of 800 water tanks to vulnerable communities and essential public services to ensure water security in the event of a natural disaster. In 2020, over 382 water tanks were presented to local churches, NGOs, and service organizations. Anicia Antoine reports on this latest donation to the farming community.
St. Lucia's agricultural sector continues to play a dominant role in its socio-economic development and is a major factor in determining the food and nutrition security of the country. The sector continues to face threats of climate change whilst simultaneously encountering new threats sparked by the COVID-19 pandemic. The government of St. Lucia, through the Economic Recovery and Resilience Plan, has donated 190 water tanks to St. Lucian farmers. Chief Economist of the Ministry of Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, Tommy Descott, notes that the initiative complements an additional 382 tanks which were delivered to various public institutions, including NEMO, police stations and faith-based organizations, as part of the Social Stabilization Plan launched last year.
In the onset of COVID, the Department of Economic Development and the Ministry of Finance embarked on the development of an economic recovery and resilience plan. And this plan was essentially to help the economy, help livelihoods, persons that are vulnerable. And in crafting the plan, we saw it fit that we needed to include the Ministry of Agriculture because, one, while we face the pandemic, we also face a climate crisis. And climate impacts farmers in many ways. We know the increasing intensity of natural hazards and the frequency, but also in terms of the drought conditions and so on. So we are very happy today that we are launching this initiative.
Descott explains that all tanks were procured from a local supplier in an effort to stimulate the manufacturing sector. Kenisha Ano, a benefiting farmer, expressed gratitude on behalf of all recipients for the donation.
I would like to sincerely thank them for providing me with this water tank, as well as everyone else. It will be of great use, especially for the upcoming dry season, with proper storage of water, being able to manage the crops and also my poultry farm.
The project was funded by the World Bank through resources reallocated from the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
More news on the Economic Recovery and Resilience Plan. Policy intervention number 24 deals with supporting the business environment by fast-tracking legislation for increased access to finance. This benefits the financial sector and the average citizen by stimulating positive economic activity. It will also encourage lending institutions to be less risk-averse and bureaucratic in issuing loans, as well as better address the issue of non-performing loans. More from Glenn Simon.
The Department of Finance, via the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, NCPC, has been instrumental in coordinating two legislative reform projects, namely the Secure Transactions in Movable Properties Bill and the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Bill, with technical assistance provided by the World Bank. Consultant lawyer for the government of St. Lucia, Bota McNamara, has been engaged in the implementation and harmonization of both pieces of legislation. He said the proposed reforms will aid in the movement of credit, which allows businesses or individuals to move from a point of stagnation to economic drivers.
When you hear bankruptcy, one may question, how does that help in credit? So what the Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act does is it permits users of the Act to restructure their liabilities, and in doing so, release themselves from burdensome and bad debt, allow them to put those debts into better standing, and allow the entity, be it themselves or their company, to now become an economic driver again. So bad debt becomes good debt, and companies that are now struggling move to become thriving companies again.
Project leader and economist with the NCPC, Shaba Mathre, referenced the importance of the security interest in movable properties legislation to the business sector when accessing finance from local banks. She said businesses and individuals can now utilize their movable assets, such as vehicles, industrial equipment, accounts receivables, bank accounts, among other assets, as collateral towards loans.
This is a very significant project for the private sector because we know that access to financing has been a long-standing issue for the private sector. And that is because the average small business owner, the average entrepreneur, the average person operating any business in St. Lucia does not have assets in the form of land and building. And so giving them the opportunity to use their valuable assets within their business basically opens the opportunities for getting access to finance so as to start businesses, expand on their businesses, take up new projects within the businesses.
Users of the Security Interest in Movable Properties Bill will have the added confidence that their interests will be registered in an online collateral registry within the High Court.
Before, lenders were always hesitant because there wasn't a very good registration system. The registry that is envisioned herein will allow for very clear and open recognition of security interests, and therefore give lenders comfort that when they are giving money based on the security of a movable asset, that the world is aware of their interest, and that means they can now collect on that interest if they need to. And that will allow, as I said, smaller businesses access to the credit which they may not have had in the past.
Various stakeholder consultations were conducted by the consultant and the team from the World Bank, with the St. Lucia Bankers Association, the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, sections of the legal profession and accountants, among others, in refining all aspects of the proposed reforms.
As it currently stands, the bills that should be presented to Parliament are in a form that I believe is satisfactory to all stakeholders. They have given their comments. We have gone into the bills and amended them to suit, and hopefully have a workable solution that now benefits all stakeholders.
The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council is optimistic that these two significant pieces of legislation, which will directly benefit the business sector, will be enacted before the first half of 2021. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, Glenn Simon reporting.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness late Sunday, March 21, 2021, received confirmation of the recovery of 34 individuals, bringing the total number of active cases in country to date to 122. 11 new cases were reported by the Ezra Long Laboratory from a batch of 189 samples taken on March 19, 2021 and March 20, 2021. 5 of the cases are inmates from the Bodily Correctional Facility. These individuals were assessed and tested for COVID-19 at the facility and were placed in quarantine awaiting their receipt of their results. Presently, these individuals have been placed in isolation. The other 6 individuals are from the community and were seen at various respiratory clinics where they were assessed and tested for COVID-19. Arrangements have been made for the placement of these individuals in isolation. And as of Friday, March 19, 2021, a total of 20,247 individuals have received the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine in St. Lucia. The public is reminded that the COVID-19 vaccination drive for individuals who are homebound due to age, illness, or immobility will continue this week, March 22nd to March 26, 2021. In other developments, Phase 2 of the Government of St. Lucia Island-wide Network Project, GINET, launched on Tuesday, March 16, 2021, a joint initiative with the government of Taiwan. The second phase of the project will see the establishment of 27 Wi-Fi hotspot locations within 6 districts. More in this report.
The second phase of the GINET project advances government's goal to bridge the urban-rural digital divide and provide greater internet connectivity to the marginalized. Speaking at the launch of Phase 2, the director of the Division of Public Sector Modernization, Marlon Narcis, outlined the many benefits derived from the project.
The GINET will create an opportunity in rural communities to access services and share information close to home, as in the parks and outside government offices, as well as reduce the cost of access to information, improve the quality of life of our citizens, and spur on innovation. The implementation of the GINET can thus be reviewed as a catalyst to implementing a citizen-centric approach to service delivery without establishing a strong foundation for digital transformation.
Narcis explained that the GINET project lays a foundation that enables improved government e-service delivery and e-participation through the use of cell phones. With widely available quality internet connections, citizens can readily utilize platforms like DigiGov, which provides over 150 government services online. Ambassador of Taiwan to St. Lucia, His Excellency Peter Chen, noted that the project helps the country meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and aligns with St. Lucia's medium-term development strategy.
The United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Report published on November 2020 has identified that telecommunication is becoming more indispensable for increased business connectivity, e-commerce, online service, working and studying from home arrangement due to the pandemic.
The Permanent Secretary in the Department of Public Service, Peggy Ann Sudat, thanked stakeholders for their continued dedication to the project and extended special thanks to the government of Taiwan.
Please accept our deepest appreciation for the solidarity of the government of Taiwan through your embassy in St. Lucia. Your continued support to the people and the government of St. Lucia is unmatched. The staff of the Taiwanese embassy was outstanding through the process. They were always attentive, patient, and helpful in the true spirit of Taiwan. Please extend our most profound gratitude to your staff.
Since the commencement of the GINET project in 2015, 70 wireless hotspots have been established across the island. From the Government Information Service, Lisa Joseph reporting.
Today, Monday, 22nd March, is World Water Day. The observance is being held under the theme Valuing Water. Here's Anicia Antoine with a special produced feature.
Rivers and other freshwater systems are drying up or becoming too polluted to use. World Water Day seeks to bring attention to what water means to people, its true value, and how we can better protect this vital resource.
Water is a very complex issue, and although water means different things to different persons, at the end of the day, that persons need to value water. And surprisingly, this year, the theme for World Water Day is valuing water. So it let persons know, just apart from the pricing, which the UN General Assembly in 2010 also designated as water being a human right issue, that we have to look at the value, not only for the pricing, but also for the environment, for food, for the economy, for the well-being of persons.
Valuing water goes beyond issues of pricing to include the environmental, social, and cultural value people place on water.
Rainwater harvesting is nothing new. It's basically having additional storage and it's basically free of charge, so you don't pay for it, right? So you collect it from your roofs or whatever system that you may have, and put it into receptacles, so tanks, what have you. So this is basically what it is. So you could use that for non-potable uses, to flush your toilets, to wash your car, to bathe, to water your garden, etc. You can also make it potable by probably applying chlorine or using a filtration system. Our water sources are primarily surface water, and in St. Lucia we have an issue with illegal dumping of solid waste into our waterways, and this creates serious levels of pollution, and this can significantly impact on water quality, because water is a universal solvent, so whatever it interacts with, it would affect the water quality.
This is NTN Nightly. Up next, Primus Hutchinson with the NTN Nouvelle Creole.
Point précaution. Ek fait tout ça ou ni pour fait pour sauver de l'eau. Laver bagay sale à dans un bassin de l'eau, pas quitter de l'eau à couille. Aussi, pas quitter de l'eau à couille, l'air ou ka tirer panne. Si toilet bowl ou ka coller, ou ni pour mettre 10 en di de bac là.
Toilet bowl là
ka couler si ou ka wè couler à de bowl là avant ou flush li.
Un toilet bowl qui ka couler
ka gaspiller un chay glou. Servi un bon pito en rose pour laver motoka. Là ou ka laver had,
servi de l'eau SCA pour rouser fleur.
Là ou sauver de l'eau ou ka baisser manière
ou ka servi tempérament.
Sauver de l'eau toutes les ou ni en chance. Ek changer toute de l'eau est content. Ça c'est en commission Rodwasco.
Welcome back. We join Primus Hutchinson for the NTN Nouvelle Creole.
Monsieur Homer, Monsieur Madame, Département de responsabilité pour information gouvernement cette ici GIS, Assemblée Télévision Nationale pays NTN, Caposato Nouvelle à Creole, Caposato Primus Hutchinson. Grand débat, chacun a obligé pour 2021, pour l'année 22, à tout un bout de jeudi passé, le 18 mars 2021. Majorité plan gouvernement à bas budget ça là, c'est pour essayer de balancer la vie et vivre les citoyens cette ici à bas mauvais maladie corona. Ministre là qui a une responsabilité pour égalité, justice sociale, on est wab, l'enadement tout annoncé pour qu'il consiste plan ministère et gouvernement généralement. C'est pour placer un peu d'attention à ce pour ouvrir un meilleur chemin par clients qui ont expérience et bénéfices ministère en façon qui a facilité trouver meilleure assistance qui ont ni besoin. Selon on est tout, c'est un mouvement qui a fait en bas programme 9 pour assister les citoyens qui sont en ligne de projet pour renforcer la capacité pour développer l'État, pour aussi ça établir petit business et pour participer au programme des affaires agricoles et services sociaux parmi l'autre. Le ministre Moto a remarqué que l'initiative là qui a placé ces citoyens en pays pour sortir à une situation côté ils dépend seulement à son assistance gouvernement pour trouver à une position côté ils venir indépendant. Parmi l'autre projet qui a fait en ministère là, c'est continuation du 10e programme Basic Needs Trust Fund, ça c'est BNTF, en hauteur de 2,45 millions de dollars. Programme pour assister les plus grands citoyens qui sont malades à Caille, et ça c'est en hauteur de 7,7 millions de dollars. Et programme pour les jeunesses, en hauteur de 4,5 millions de dollars. Le ministre Montout déclaré que le ministère a cherché diverses façons pour aider les citoyens à engager plus fonds à effort pour continuer à bâtir la nation cette ici. Pour vivre établir consiste en ces différents paroisses pour aider en affaires de développement commun eux-mêmes et aussi pour établir le gouvernement local qui a un pouvoir pour amasser taxes de propriété côté qui est possible pour servir à 7% à l'argent ça pour aider en développement ces paroisses là. Le gouvernement cette aussi qui travaille très en effort pour établir deuxième phase projet GINET only one set si initiative sala kay fait possible pour plus que 27 pares pour recevoir service Wi-Fi freeness. Ça kay fait possible pour divers groupes en société ni en cité commune pays et aussi en ces villes et villages pour ça ni service Wi-Fi en particulièrement côté est très difficile pour recevoir service ça là. Durant une cérémonie mardi le 16 mars 2021, gouvernement cette-ci remercier gouvernement de République Chine à Taïwan pour entrer à une collaboration pour implémenter deuxième phase projet ça là GINET là. C'est division qui est responsable pour moderniser le secteur public en bas département service public qui chef agence pour projet GINET là. Directeur secteur ça là M. Marlon Nassis explique qu'il est venu encore plus important pour faire service Wi-Fi available pour tout et qui est très critique pour un service comme ça qui fort et résilience en effort pour supporter ces diverses transactions qui a fait à sur internet et qui a venu nécessaire plus en plus. Selon M. Nassis, établissement service GINET ça là, c'est pour assister nécessité peuple là qui en paresse qui est très difficile pour recevoir des gros services ça là. Côté yo pas obligé ni un computer pour ça trouver service gouvernement et aussi service public. Ambassadeur pour Taïwan dans cette ci M. Peter Shin dit que gouvernement qui continue commitment pour aider cette ci en façon ça là. Principalement pour ces quantité l'école qui tenait pour servir les sons par internet et qui continue servir les sons par internet. Secrétaire permanent au département des services publics, Mme Peggy Ann Soudat, dit qu'il est très appréciable pour service ça là, au gouvernement Taïwan, parce que le projet a aidé en lot cette lycéen pour faire business et puis gouvernement cette lycée. L'agent a un appel pour plus de femmes cette lycée engagées en affaires politiques pays là. Ministre qui a responsabilité pour guider affaires qui concernent les femmes et hommes en gouvernement cette lycée. Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert fait appel ça là devant temps parler et puis nouvelle en créole concernant l'observance journée internationale pour femmes qui observent plus bonheur en mois de mars. Selon Dr. Rigobert, il était à vous dire ouais femmes abrasser chimie politique là côté femmes pays ça n'y plus fort voix en ces décisions qui a faites en particulier les vini pour droit yo en société.
Moi savent la union chay femme peut-être qui paie en tout les affaires politiques ça quand mes prières quand vie blague la manière yo ka parler à sous femme qui c'est manière yo ka habiller manière yo ka garder le chivé yo et ben si yo pas chivé comme moi même et quand chaque femme qui a talent yo vle entrer politique mais c'est bagay ça ka décourager yo c'est pour nous comme société comme pays décider qui ça nous vle pour jeunes monde pour jeunes femmes so moi veux encourager femmes qui ka chiller peut-être yo vle bay la vie un service pour pays pour communion en politique souple moi vous êtes copain moi vous disais ouais plus femme dit dans affaires politiques ça là et nous j'ai fait tellement bien a lot façade pays a lot office gouvernement private ça nous ka créer private sector alors nous a bien tweet pour nous ça entrer politique so moi voulais ouais plus femme entrer politique peut-être l'autre élection nous ka ouais top plus femme.
C'était la voix ministre qui a une responsabilité pour guider affaires femmes et hommes au gouvernement cette-ci. On a Dr. Gail Rigobert. Et c'est comme ça nous avons une nouvelle, messieurs et mesdames. Je vous remercie autant pour regarder. Je vous une invitation. Je ne peux pas encore citer conserver la vie. Je vais présenter une autre nouvelle en Koyola. À présent, je vais présenter Homer.
Merci, Appeal Primus. That brings us to the end of NTN Nightly. Join us next time at 7 p.m. with a repeat at 7 a.m. You could also catch up with us anytime on the St. Lucia Government Facebook page or YouTube channel. I'm Humadi Mark.